All right, and welcome here to the channel. It is the most earth-breaking, ground-shaking, noise-making, never media shilling, the man, the myth, the legend, uh, Lee Cole the Fourth. And welcome everybody to Let's Talk, episode 2. This is a continuation of the series that I have started where you guys get to come in and talk with me and my guests that I will be bringing on. So, this is my very first guest, and to kick things off, I will let you take the stage, sir. Go ahead, tell the people who you are.
I am Chris Knight of the Real Review 3000, and I just want to thank you for having me on here today. And
Oh,
I'm looking
no.
forward to having a good time.
No problem. Thank you for coming on. And Chris, this is a special day because I have never had a guest on my channel. So
I know that's kind of interesting. I'm very happy to be the first guest, and makes me feel special. Also, kind of feeds my ego, which is very important because it hasn't been fed very much today.
yeah. I've been told I've got one of those, but it's just alleged rumors. So
Oh no, mine's
I just go with it.
proof. I mean, it's there. It's a monster too sometimes. I mean, I tell people all the time, I'm sorry. I just, sometimes I even amaze myself. No, I mean, really, I do appreciate it. I'm very humbled. Thank you very much, sir.
Oh, no problem. And, before we kick this off, I kind of wanted to give the viewers an outline of where we're going with this discussion, which is I'm going to be doing a talk about entertainment last week. If anyone was watching, which I guess 44 people did, thank you for enduring an hour, peeps. But last week I did a comparison between the state of the MCU and then the DCU and Star Wars. So
That must have been interesting because, that's
yeah, I had a lot of different thoughts for people on that one, but I decided to kind of do it solo to see how it went, and people liked it. So this time, I wanted to have a back and forth because essentially I want this program to be a debating session where healthy chat can happen because, that brings me to my topic of entertainment. We're going to be talking about the entertainment industry and how I feel they're trying to shape and manipulate our views and our feelings.
yeah. Um, it does seem like that. I mean, it can be a little bit on both sides, liberal and conservatives, but it does seem like the liberal group of Hollywood is always overly vocal. And it's not that they can't have their opinion, but they need to learn how to balance that opinion out to not come across as a complete and utter, I guess the word for me would be douchebag. Um, they, they very much like to tell you how to vote, but like, for instance, um, if somebody comes out against that opinion, then they have all these goons that like to come and jump on people because you don't agree with them. And they need to kind of remember what country they're in. They're in a country of freedom, and we have the right not to agree with them, but they don't act like we have the right.
And welcome, proper Jeremy. He yelled first, so he is ecstatic right now. And
Yes.
he's in the second inaugural episode. So thank you, proper. Appreciate having you here, buddy. Um, and to your point, it's great that we have this good back and forth going on here because you actually led a segue to my first talking point, which is going to be about when we were talking about people interjecting their politics into this forum. We have the I read it, or an article was brought to my attention I was watching Angus's channel, and I saw that Ruffalo and the gang over at Endgame, I think it's Ruffalo and the girl who plays the Valkyrie, she is and him are petitioning to try to have abortion at well, okay, so the state wants to make an abortion illegal after you can hear the baby's heartbeat. And I don't want to get into the whole pro-life, pro-choice thing because that becomes an ugly mess. But yeah, I mean, it's a very fine, sticky line when you're talking about that stuff. But what they want to do is they want to petition the people of the state and try to force them or force the Congress into killing this bill by having the people of the state of Georgia boycott certain products within there. So we're talking like stores and things like that. They're putting out their announcements saying don't buy stuff until they kill this bill and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to get your take on how you feel about that, because I feel like this is a blatant disregard of the platform that they have, that they're manipulating people essentially and affecting lawmaking.
Well, here's my core belief in politics. I call myself an American. I don't align with one party or the other. I align with certain views, and I read into those views. And if one side, conservative or liberal, either way, views more on my side, then I'm more likely going to go with that. But the thing is in order to do that, you have to make your own opinion. You cannot take opinions from other people, because if you do that, all we're doing is interjecting a mass opinion because somebody who's famous, for instance, likes a certain thing. If they support a certain candidate, I can't vote for a candidate just because, let's say, I don't know, just anybody, like, Tom Brady, for instance, if he comes out and says, I like this candidate, I want you to vote for him, great, that's great, but why should I vote for him? If I just blindly vote or follow politics based on what people tell me, I am not doing my civic duty of voting based on what I believe is correct or what I can read into, what I can find out, the information. If I find something that I'm a part of that I like or that I agree with, then I should vote for it or try to get my Congress people to vote for it. And when you got people like Mark Ruffalo saying, boycott this, boycott that, don't be a part of this. And if people follow that blindly, then we've got a bunch of sheep, and it's a herd, and they have no idea what they're really boycotting. And that's the thing. If people want to boycott because they've read it and they disagree with it, that's one thing. But when you have these people in the entertainment industry, in Hollywood, hand feeding you their opinion to these, what I call sheep, then what you've got is one person's opinion leading the pack. And it's important in America to not be a part of that. If you're going to agree with something, you need to know what you're agreeing with. And too many times these days, you have people who are blindly doing it, who are not educated voters or not educated constituents, and they flood their Congress people's office with, hey, don't do this because so-and-so told me this about it. Well, how do you know so-and-so isn't just trying to lead you their direction? It's all fine and dandy with why he may not like it. For instance, Mark Ruffalo might not like this because he feels it restricts abortion too much, or he feels like it cuts, certain people out of it that deserve the chance for abortion, whatever you want to say. But the thing is as a voter, I have to make sure what he's telling me is true. If I agree with him because I find out it's true and because I agree with his viewpoint, that's one thing. But I feel these people are using their status in the community, in America, in movies and stuff, to lead people blindly. And that's not something you want in America. I don't care what side of the fence you lie on. You don't want blind voters voting just because somebody else told them to do it a certain way.
And now, my thing to that is that I agree with everything that you have laid out there. My concern is I feel like they shouldn't be having an input in this discussion at all, because back in the day when we formed these things, you know, the Constitution and everything else, nowhere in the Constitution did it say that one entity is going to be the one that's in charge. It's supposed to be, you know, these rights and these laws are for the people, by the people, not not one specific person, not one specific group. And I think that is, it stems to a lot of problems that we're having here online and things like that, is this bullying and manipulation of facts. And the scariest part is that the kids now are not doing, like me and you come from a time where you used to read a newspaper, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Pick up, you go to your store and you could depend mostly on those newspapers, because back at that time there wasn't a lot of these guys protecting and sort of having these sheltered kind of views. They were all reporting facts, and then maybe they put their own thoughts at the end of the piece. But it was a lot of fact based, and I'm sure you know from watching my channel, I'm big on facts. Like if someone
Yeah.
wants to debate with me, fine, but don't throw out stupid generic things. And that's the thing that scares me about where we're going with this whole entertainment thing, is because these kids don't fact check. There's no fact checking. They go on their phone, they Google, and then they think it's gospel, and they don't even like verify sources or anything. And
Well,
so
go ahead.
where can we depend on them to have the good sense to do that?
That's kind of what I go with. You know, I talk about movies and other things all the time. I don't read into what actors say, mostly because of stuff like this. I There was a time when entertainers were exactly that. They reveled in being popular because they were entertainers. And you know, you may know that they were associated with the mafia, or you may know that they were associated with this candidate, but that was only because you saw news footage showing them with them. They didn't come out blindly and constantly ram it down your throat that they believed in this or you should vote for this. And then there's this wonderful shell of thing. This is happening in Georgia, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go with this. We're talking about a guy who's a Hollywood guy right now, but he's also from Wisconsin. Why are we listening to a guy who doesn't even have any say in what's going on in the state? This is a Georgia matter. These are for Georgians to decide. And this is how our country is set up, that the states have the right to pass their own laws. And if we are interjecting, I mean, even talking about it right now, you and I, this is stuff that bothers us, but this doesn't affect you or I. So why is he so bothered about something that, whatever happens, isn't going to affect him? And that's where it comes down to, like you said, when we listen to these people, we need to know this stuff. We need to know, why are they against this? This isn't going to bother them. Why should I be listening to them? Because in the long run, if I'm from Georgia, I'm the one that's affected by this. No matter what happens, they pass this, they don't pass it, they kill the bill, they do whatever. He's not going to be affected by this. This isn't going to affect him in any way, shape, or form. He has no game in this, or no stake in this. So again, to your point, why do voters listen to this? And this is that, like you said, it's the facts. He doesn't have anything in this. So what is it he gains to talk about it? And that's where you have to go down to it. There's got to be something he thinks he's going to get out of this.
And see, that is my issues, that I've been having a lot of problems, which is why I'm doing this episode now. And we talked about this prior, was that that is my issues with the entertainment in general, is that you got a lot of these people doing, and I mean, a great example, and not to beat a dead horse, but I hate her with a fiery passion, is Brie Larson. single-handedly like no one I've ever seen comes out. And I don't know if you heard about her and attacking someone or attacking someone who did something on Netflix. They left a comment or something like that.
Yeah, I heard about that, and that is an interesting point. I, you know, you can leave them out of it because here's the thing. I mean, if you got somebody that's popular in on Twitter or on YouTube, let's say somebody that's got 1,000,005 viewers or subs, or 1,000,005 followers, like a big time personality online, and they come out and they put a note or a comment in Netflix and say something, and I can't remember exactly what it was that was said, but it was very, it was a bland commentary on what they thought about her new either series or short movie that she has on YouTube. And it wasn't even a hard punching.
No, not at all. It was actually pretty.
They just said, they basically said, she's meh. I mean, it wasn't even like, oh, you suck. It was just, I didn't like it. And it was literally like, you go up and you get asked, hey, what'd you think of this movie? It's all right. It's a movie. I mean, I wouldn't go see it again, but I watched it, and I didn't run out of it because, well, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. That's basically what he was saying. And then you go, if it's a person with 1,000,005 followers, and you want to go ahead and put in Brie Larson's resume, which Netflix did. They did this, and then Brie Larson said Netflix. If it's 1,000,005 a person who has 1,000,005 followers or 1,000,005 subs, that's nothing. They're not going to get hurt by it. But you're talking about a guy who had like 300 and some odd followers on Twitter. And it is obvious that whether or not it was targeted or not, that could be somewhat discussed if it was or wasn't. You can't say, though, as Netflix or Brie Larson, that you don't expect your followers, knowing who your followers are, mostly SJWs for her, you can't expect they're not going to jump on this guy. How is that fair when you got however many followers? I don't know how many she has. I don't pay attention to her. But, I would say she has 1,000,000 followers. 1,000,000 to 377. There's no way this guy's going to survive this, or this person. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. But so, again, I've seen things saying it was targeted. It may have been. It may have blatantly been targeted. But no matter what, what could happen. And they did it anyways. And there was no need for it because he didn't say anything that's going to hurt her. But she got butthurt, obviously, because she wrote something to Netflix comment. Netflix got butthurt because it was one of their movies. It's like, guys, look at who you're fighting here. This is and with all due respect to the person, it's a nobody in the world of the internet. It's like somebody fighting me. I only have
me.
Well, okay, but we only have like 100 some odd subs. Great, but why fight us? It's not gonna gain that much traction unless we say something really hard hitting. Does she really believe? Does Brie Larson really believe that somebody that basically said, it was okay, and that's again basically as bad as it got? Does she really think somebody saying it's okay and not giving her the stellar, oh my God, she's the best darn thing that's ever been around. She's the next, Martin Scorsese. Does she think because they didn't call her the greatest thing ever since sliced bread, does she think it's going to hurt her? A 377 follower person. If she thought that, then she has way too thin a skin. And she doesn't need to be in this business because it's going to get a lot worse as things go on.
And I mean, to the credit, we've had look at the DC movies, right, and how much flack Ben Affleck got. And I've been a defender of his Batman. I don't have a problem with it.
I love it.
I did too. For me, that was probably one of the saving graces of that film.
Yeah.
And I thought he did a stellar job.
Now
And
you're
Ben
talking,
got attacked. I mean, DCU fans, I'm on
yeah.
the MCU side, but DCU fans are pretty rabid. And
Mhm.
you didn't see Ben coming out going, "Oh, I want my millions of followers to go and attack
Yeah.
these guys on the." He didn't do that. He was like, "Well, that's my Batman. That's what Zach told me to go for. If you don't like it, too bad."
Was this
That's a
the?
pro.
I'm sorry. Was this when they attacked him about the killing of Batman killing
Yeah,
people?
the
Yeah.
Batman killing people, which is such a stupid argument because
Well,
if people read canon, they would know that Batman, in the it was in an anime, but it was originally a book by Frank Miller called The Dark Knight Returns, and he
mhm.
did it because he got older and he couldn't fight the younger people anymore, and it made sense, which is kind of what I get the feel of as Ben Affleck as Batman.
Oh yeah. Well, going with that, this again is an SJW problem. Before you attack, and this is the voter thing, what we're talking about right now, before you attack something, before you jump on board something, do your research.
Exactly.
Michael Keaton's Batman killed people. Batman's killed people in the comics. Originally, Batman was don't kill, but if I have to, I will. Because much like a soldier doesn't necessarily indiscriminately want to kill people. But if your life is on the line and then there's a choice, Batman's going to make the same choice anybody else is going to make. My life or yours? Sorry, dude, you're gone.
And that's why he had the butting the heads with Superman in the first place was because Superman was pure sunshine and rainbows.
well, wait, you see, but some people jumped on the original, the Man of Steel, because he kills Zod at the end. But if anybody has ever read the comic books, he does kill Zod in the comic books.
He does, yeah.
And he kills Zod, and Christopher Reeves technically kills Zod in the second Superman by throwing him down this, never-ending pit. Whether or not it looks like he's killing him or he just, throws him across the place, whatever, it is death. He has caused that man's death. And people just want to gloss over the fact that, this has never happened. Yes, it has. Do your research. 5 seconds is going to tell you everything you need to know. And don't go to a website that is on one side or the other. You have to find certain websites these days, and it gets harder every day to find non-biased, real proof. Go to the Georgia state government, for instance, about the abortion thing. They have to put that out there for you to read.
They have to put it's public records. They got to put all of the facts, just like with the articles we're getting into. They have to put for people to read all of the facts. And here's the problem that we have is the younger generation doesn't want to do that fact checking. They want to follow what their favorite star or artist or whoever it is.
It's because it's not an audio
into the dark.
Yeah, it's not like it's not an audiobook form. Trust me, reading political bills sucks because of the terminology and how they write it, and lots of these things are hundreds of pages. But in order to do your research, you got to do that. It's absolutely mind-numbing how again, it's sheep. It's sheep. These people are becoming sheep, and they're not doing their research. Every time go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. To your point about sheep, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's that, and I believe I've said this before to you in a stream or something. I said it's this attitude of people want to consume things now. I call it the McDonald's effect. They want everything now, and they don't want to wait. They won't want to stop and think. They just want to go, go, go. And, it's created this societal thing where the kids are comfortable in that too. They want everything handed to them right away, and they're not looking at all the facts. And now the problem with that theory is when you get into things like big decisions where people have to make choices that affect other people, and you're depending on the younger generation to make those choices, and they're not being fully informed, or they don't want to get fully informed, or they want to pull it up quickly, and you have the shills basically running the media in general, it becomes harder for facts to get out there, and kids are not doing their research, and people left like us are a dying breed.
Yeah, the McDonald's reference is perfect. It's how I feel about marriage. Marriage became a McDonald's thing, drive through constantly, and it became something where it doesn't mean what it used to mean to people. And to your point of having to read into everything and know what you're voting for, or know what the current event is, or whatever, I've always used this analogy. I'm going to make this bill. I'm a politician. I'm going to make this bill. And in my bill, every homeless person and every person who is hungry, who's going hungry, is going to be fed and clothed and going to have housing. This bill is going to pay for it. Okay, let's not go into all the generics of exactly where the money's going to come from, because that's not really important in this analogy. It sounds so great. It's like, oh, great, we're going to help the homeless. We're going to help the children who have no food and no clothes. We're going to help the people who have no place to live. Great. But if you don't read my bill, you wouldn't see the point in there where I say, but 20% of all these people are going to be euthanized to help cut costs.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty dangerous.
Well, the thing is that's what we're doing. We don't know what's in these bills unless we read it ourselves, and they do that type of stuff. Not necessarily that ruthless, but it's called it's fillers, and they do it all the time because it gets argued in the House, it gets argued in the Senate, and they argue through it, and they add little things like, well, this, these lobbyists want me to add this in here because they want a little extra, or they want some kickback somehow. And then this other guy comes in and says, well, my lobbyists want this. And by the time you get done, if you don't read everything in that, you don't know what's getting voted on. You don't know. It could be, like I said, the most wonderful bill in the world. We're going to feed people. We're going to house people. But you don't see the nitty-gritty bits down here. And if Hollywood has their way, well, we're going to feed the homeless. This is a great thing. You won't have to worry about these people being in prisons anymore because they'll have a place to stay. They'll have food. They won't have to steal anymore. And that's how they're going to make it sound, because they don't want you to know the truth. They don't want you to read into the nitty-gritty of it. And that's what these people are doing. And again, I don't think it really matters what side of the fence you're on. You have to do your research. So even if you think you align with somebody's view, make sure you do. Don't just go with it because they say it.
Yeah, and to your point, that is absolutely what's been going on, is that these kids, this younger generation, has been just feeding into the Hollywood media machine, I like to call it. And a great example of this I ran into in my theater with people seeing Captain Marvel. They were still going by Rotten Tomatoes, and you had that whole debacle. And it's
that's ridiculous too.
I feel as if that's another panel for another day. But I mean, they had that blatant censorship and that blatant one-sidedness, and no one else got the info. So I had some people who went in and were like, "Oh, this was great," the normal moviegoer, and then you had some people go in and be like, "Man, I went on Rotten Tomatoes and the critics said this," and that look. And that's what made me start a review channel, was that look, because, okay, I understand that what we do, media, I always say a movie is subjective, and I'm sure you can agree with that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We're all going to take different things, and there's been some movies that some people like that I thought were absolute garbage, and some movies that I like people didn't like themselves. But why I started doing my reviews, why I started this channel, was because of seeing that disappointed look constantly. And you can see this in the divide between the scores. Remember, I'm sure you remember back when they started Rotten Tomatoes, that gulf was never that big. It was pretty even.
Well, you
Very
know what's funny is I tell people Rotten Tomatoes started out like the Razzies. They were out to just totally pile on dog crap movies originally. It was almost like The Onion. If your movie made it on Rotten Tomatoes, it wasn't very good. And then somebody decided to actually take some truth from it and think, hey, they're actually reviewing these things. And it just built from there. And now we've got this thing where people go to Rotten Tomatoes to get their information about a movie. What left turn at Albuquerque did we take to get to a place where we decide if a movie's good or not because this happened? And the thing is especially now when they took the ability for people who were subjective because of what Brie Larson said, which is their absolute right to be, they take that voice away from this side, but they still allow people who want to go see it to say something.
and that is the problem, is that this is why I really disliked Captain Marvel, was because of the fact that on the whole it was an average movie. It was, I mean, it was a lot watchable than other movies that I've seen come out. But my problem with it, and I mean, I strained hard myself not to be biased, was that the stuff surrounding it was so terrible. And I think that really, in essence, taints the film itself too. Not saying because, I've dealt with these guys coming out with their political views before the movie, but it's not that bothers me. It's the protection from people who are supposed to be their whole job, their whole purpose of being. Well, you and me don't get paid for our reviews, but they get paid. They go through school, and this is their vocation. And it's like, a doctor lying about something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're supposed to be, in every sense of the word, objective. And even if we're going to your point that you got to find out the things for yourself, it was still a good point of view. We talked about this before, like the Siskel and Ebert days and things like that, where, those guys hardly ever agreed, and that was the great part. And you can take whichever perspective you wanted to, but you knew if they both agreed, it was something truly magical.
Yeah, or completely crap.
Or if they both agreed it was crap, I mean,
Yeah.
one of them, if they didn't give the thumbs up, you probably had a good shot it wasn't a good movie.
Well, you see, and I still go with this today. I try not to read into anything. I try not to read the stuff that Brie Larson said. Did I know she said stuff? Yes. And then after the fact, I went back and looked into it. I try not to do that because that's how when I went to go see movies growing up, and probably the same thing with you, we didn't have all this stuff in the media. So we were able to go to a movie to enjoy the movie, and that's how I still try to go to it. But, like, for instance, with Brie Larson, when she says she's tired of getting, interviewed by white dudes and this and that, it's amazing because I live in a pretty conservative town for the most part. I live in Kansas City, Missouri. And actually on one of our news stations, there is an African American critic. And he's interviewed her. I've seen the interview. And it's like, you totally gloss over these people who are the people you want in there. You're not even admitting that, hey, I get interviewed by these people every once in a while. She just went out and made it sound like every person that interviews her is a older white male. And it's like, you're hurting your own cause. Those people are out there. Why don't we just talk about, these are the people I like to see? When I get the random, different ethnic people interviewing me, she could have said it completely different. And she went on a completely racist and chauvinistic side of things, how she handled it. And then
and I mean, that's the whole thing, is that with this movie and that's what made everyone so angry, especially in our community, and it wasn't just one thing. It was like a back-to-back stupidity fest, like just one asinine thing after another.
Well, and that's the thing. not all of them, but a lot of people do it. And then what they want to do is they want to turn around and then they want to say, well, wait, you misread or you misheard what I said. I didn't mean it like that. Then think before you speak. If that's not what you meant, make sure you can say what you mean, and then we'll judge that. And the people like her who get all bent out of shape because, well, people were talking bad about me now. Blah, 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 blah. You know what? Get out of Hollywood then. If you don't want people to talk bad about you, if you want everybody to agree with you, go find some mythical island that doesn't exist that I know of where you can go and everybody agrees with you, because it doesn't exist. You have to understand that you are not always going to have a popular opinion. And if you don't have a popular opinion, own your opinion and deal with it. People aren't going to be on your side. It just, that's how it is. That's life. And Hollywood constantly wants to be, the victim. They always want to say, oh, well, people attacked me and this and that, but no, but they don't want to admit to the fact that they've got thousands of people that listen to them and they go attack these other people, like with The Last Jedi. It's ridiculous. And they want. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I know the running joke, you're a Last Jedi defender. When I do my Star Wars, I'm gonna have you on because I gotta hear the debate. And like I said, I'm trying to do two-sided debates. I think that would be an interesting little discussion to have. But to the credit, I thought the movie in general was just a bad film, but I didn't hit it as hard as most. But see, what really made people salty, I think, was not, well, the movie made people angry, but it wasn't just the movie. It was, that one was weird because it was the aftermath of them coming out and saying, the fans are all stupid because we're not filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, but we're consumers and we've seen enough movies to know, dude, you made a bad film. Admit the mistakes, or, say, okay, we're going to see what we could have tooled up better, or, whatever you got to say. They do it all the time, but not these guys, not Lucasfilms and Disney Films or anyone owning in the MCU. No, they want to attack people, and that's where we have the divide, is the brutal attacks. Mm-hmm. And the name calling, really bad name calling.
Yeah, and like I said, that's the fact of the SJWs that really gets me, is that here they are. I want inclusion. I want everybody to be equal. I want this. I want that. They want, Shangri-La. They want, heaven on earth. They want everything to be perfect. But the thing is they use hate slurs. They use hate speech against these other people. And they do everything that they're not talking about, because that they're not really interested in making equality. The first thing that they do is they divide everybody into individual groups. Well, that's not equality. Don't call me a,
because their whole bag is supposed to be equality, but yet they're perpetuating inequality.
Exactly. They want you to believe. They want you to hear their soft speech. I want everybody to be equal. I want there to be equal pay for women, equal pay for men. I just want everything to be equal. Great. Then preach that and stay away from calling me a bigoted, white, chauvinistic male. Because you don't know a thing about me, especially when you're talking online. The worst thing online has brought is that you can hide behind a name on the screen and not put your face up there. Your face is on your page. My face is on my page. What are we?
No one knows, unless we take our cameras off. No one knows really what we look like.
The thing is if anybody wants to call me out on that, I'll turn a camera on. I don't care.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you've seen my videos. Yeah. I had a troll trolling me, and it's kind of funny. I meant to bring this up, not to get sidebarred, but so I came at the person pretty hard in my first response, and then I was like, you know what, Lee, let me try a new tact. So what I did was I got Mary and everyone together. I was like, you know what, I did a special little sub fundraising, and I had people sub to their channels, because what gave me the idea was they left me a really long comment, and I wish it was still up. They deleted themselves and pulled the comment down because I was looking for it today. And they mentioned about how I was just in it for the subs. And to 2 points, One, yes, am I in it to get some subs? This is what I do. So, yes, I do want the subs, but am I solely in it for that? No, I had something to say. People were interested, and I've got my core group now, and I'm happy and entertaining you guys. So, I was like, you know what? I'm going to pass the love on to this person. And they just completely left. And it's like, when you argue with these guys, it's really like going around in a circle. Sometimes you just got to beat them at their own game. They don't know what to do when you're not fighting with them,
Well,
when you just.
it's kind of that, or when you want to use actual truth to it. If you call these people out and say, "Why are you calling me a bigoted white male? I thought you were about equality," or why? I mean, that's the biggest thing. If you open your eyes to the SJW movement and you see what they're doing, people were called racist for not liking The Last Jedi because there's, I don't know her actual ethnicity, but Rose Tico is, Asian, and you have an African American, and people just automatically call people racist. Well, what if they just didn't like the movie? Do you ever think of that? What if they just didn't like the way it was portrayed? Okay, and that's what most people were saying. That's not my Star Wars. That's not like this. That's not like that. But they got called racist. Well, why is it a racist thing to say you don't like a movie?
And that's where we are in entertainment, which is why I made my topics brief and kind of tie together, because it's all the same bag. It's something I've been meaning to talk about on my channel in general, because kind of umbrella every news thing that I cover is that in entertainment in general, for me, it's entertaining for me to wake up and do a video. But it doesn't have the same feel of watching a movie. And I said this in a video, I believe last night. I said, it's a scary thing. And I did a video about it. And I said at the end of the video, how do you feel? Because I know I get nervous now going to a movie with my daughter and knowing what they're putting in it. And she's a smart cookie.
Mm-hmm.
She picks up stuff. And knowing that maybe I'm going to have to explain something to her because they want to throw in these things, these different subjects, like with the whole Han Solo thing and him being in the robot. I don't want to explain that to my kid if I'm taking them to see a Star Wars movie, or if they throw in the other things they like to throw in. It's like, I just want to, we're supposed to be escaping those issues. Movies are escapism.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Escapism.
That's exactly what it comes down to. And like you said, too many people. Movies have always had messages in them. I'm not saying they haven't, but they haven't always been so political, so politically driven, so outright. I mean, short of putting on screen, vote for this person or vote for this thing, we're getting close to that, where people will be reading a paper, and on the backside of the paper it'll be like, vote for so-and-so for president, and that's going to be during election time. I mean, if we let this keep going that direction, that is where we'll end up.
and that brings me into a good discussion. Actually, we could segue into the articles coming up, because I've been dying to cover this, and I was going to do a video, and I'm like, you know what? I want to have a discussion about this, because in the EU, Article 13 and Article 11 passed, and I believe, from what I have gathered, the 13 says that platforms can be sued if they don't make the best efforts to stop copyright content from being uploaded from their sites. So that's putting pressure on, say, like YouTube or something like that. And then if I am correct, Article 11 is the actual thing towards the user themselves and the legal action after the fact. So basically, this bill and why it's so controversial is because it hits in two prongs. It hits the platform to which you're on, and then it hits the person who's distributing the content. And I don't know about you, but I've seen a ton of people since this bill has passed over in the EU already being hit over here. I believe Random was one of them, and Nerdrotic got a strike on their channels.
Yeah, it's very dangerous to go down that road. But you have to think in the EU that is almost par for the course. I mean, most of those countries don't understand freedoms like we do, and again, that goes down to that: don't just blindly let things happen to you. Do you give up freedoms for security, or do you hold on to security at any cost, or hold on to your freedoms at any cost, even if it is security? And too many people, for instance, just say, oh yeah, sure, here, I'll let you do that because, well, obviously this is for the better good. If you don't read into this stuff, you're just going to let things happen. I mean, Mary and I and a few other people talked about this, but her and I agree on one thing. We're in America. It's harder to take those freedoms away from us than it is overseas.
And I like to make a point to that. In the 90s, my best example, because I played video games, was that when Mortal Kombat came out, that changed the market. Because before Mortal Kombat, and remember that was like 2D, before that came out, you hadn't had a game that did a lot of violence like that. And all of a sudden, the lawmakers, they got involved. And they started doing these bans and restrictions. And I mean, you started seeing it in the music industry, and it got really, really bad. So the question becomes with this bill is, you know, there is a precedent to kind of scale down some things that are said. I mean, the filmmakers prove this themselves with us. But at the same time, too, there is a precedent for freedom of speech. Where it's tricky is the internet is hard to monitor. And it's already impossible for YouTube now to monitor what they have. If this comes down the pipeline, I mean, that's going to be a nightmare for us.
It's, well, I was just talking about this, you know, on a video I'm going to have soon about YouTube shouldn't be doing this automated. It should not be automated. It shouldn't be just a computer taking in people who are flagging videos. It should actually look at there should be a person looking at these videos and determining, is it really hate speech? Are they actually calling out people for race, religion, you know, all those things? Or is this just somebody who didn't like the video because it talks bad about what they like?
But now here's the thing. I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I think this should be killed in general. And I understand the dangers, and you have the people who get extreme. But at the same point, there's two problems with even having a real person. Is that then again, you don't know if that person isn't biased themselves. So they could just flag something just on their end because they don't like what's being said. So now you got to trust a human element in the mix. And then there's the issue of who in the world, you got to take shifts, right? Who in the world is going to be able to monitor all of this content? And, you know, we're a small channel. We'd be easy, which is why I believe some of us have been attacked. But what about the large channels? What about the, like, 3,000K and the 1 million subs and the 5,000 subs and all of the huge channels, the PewDiePies and things like that? You know, how in the world are you going to monitor? How in the world are you going to monitor that traffic? Well, it's impossible.
It is a hard thing, but like with anything, you have to look at it from both sides. I understand what you're saying, and if I were going to have somebody bring that up in a devil's advocate way, my thing is that there are places where they don't trust the human element alone. They have somebody watching somebody who's watching somebody who's watching somebody. There's probably a way to check that. I understand. The internet and free speech, like you said, is a tricky thing. But I even said it about Rotten Tomatoes. My friend Sean Stackhouse had a bunch of people ramming him because he canceled his tickets for like the early showing of Captain Marvel when it first came out. He canceled it because of Brie Larson's comments, and that was understandable. But these people jumped on him, and then he got on the thing about Rotten Tomatoes taking away the option to say what you wanted to about it. Took down the comments, and they got on about that. And I got on there and said, listen, it's free speech to be able to say this. And I understand that because it's a private entity that runs Rotten Tomatoes, that they can strike down my comments and they don't have to take those comments. But as an entity that exists in America, you would hope to God they'd say, listen, they don't like the movie or they don't want to go see the movie, they have a right to say it. But no, they took a stand of, we're going to censor things. And
that's the danger of this bill is
definitely no this bill.
Congress behind it. Congress is the worst thing to put now in charge, especially when they don't understand the technology that they said during this vote, half the people didn't know what they were voting for.
Yeah,
but the people making the bill.
The EU again is like that a lot. People want to use the EU as maybe saying, well, because they do it, we do it. And that can be true at times, but when it gets to something like this, I would really think that, and especially now that it's on the radar like it is over there, there's going to be people fighting this really hard here. And it's already starting. And I would still say my faith in our freedoms makes this really hard to take into effect here in America.
The thing that I was wondering, and I've done some research on it. I know the bare bones, and I know that enough to talk about it. But my thing I was wondering was that okay, maybe this bill isn't directly affecting us, or maybe the fallout from it is. But like, say you're getting a clip from like another country. Well, then are you subjected to their laws for wherever you're taking it from? Because a lot of companies are based out of more than just the U.S. So then now if I'm taking a clip from somewhere and I'm thinking I have the right to use it on my channel, and then come to find out it's under this new umbrella because it's from where that bill is affecting the EU. Well, now here in America, am I getting slammed for that?
Yeah, see, I don't know about that, and that's where it's going to have to get into some really deep stuff, because you would hope that our laws go over that law, but then again, it could just be that if you're going to somebody's channel, and it's copyrighted, that if they're over there, they're going to get dinged for it, and you're not. You're still going to be able to see it.
And see, this is where I was bringing up that this is a really sticky situation, even more to your point, with the monetization. But now you get, because YouTube and our community and everything brings us together with people from other countries. Perfect example for that is Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's in a different country. So it becomes the question of, okay, how is what the laws over there are, how is it affecting him? And if I'm on his channel, is it going to affect me? You know what I'm saying? What if I stream, we do a lot of cross promoting here. You're coming on my channel. And I mean, so, okay, now that I have you from another place, is the internet going to determine my channel as part of this thing? Because, I know from being in the military, they said that if you are in another country, then you are, you're basically following their laws because you have now gone out of the U.S. But see, I'm streaming here from the U.S., but what if I'm going, with another country? Now, am I supposed to follow their rule? And now I get dinged because, you know what I mean? It becomes very murky.
It does, and that's the thing. I guess that's the unfortunate side, that since they passed it, we're going to have to figure out if they are going to make it like that, if it does affect us. Again, I can't see how their law can affect us, but my worry is, yes, that they very well could ding other people that are affected by that law. And when you do that, that definitely raises a whole bunch of different questions. And, unfortunately, we're going to find out because it's already gone through. So,
and it brings up another point of, if Hollywood is as bad, which is why I wanted to tie these together, if Hollywood is as bad as they're getting, which we talked about earlier, then is there a way for someone else to manipulate those laws to affect us here?
Well, there's always a way to manipulate everything out there. You just can't. It's a question of if we let them. Here in the United States, the best thing we have going for us is the fact that we can still say something about it. We can gather and actually are going to listen to you.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know. The thing I worry about is that we do have one thing. We have one thing that is. PV just said Chris manipulates Sean.
Oh, yeah. See how that is? You people have it all wrong. I'm the innocent person in all of this.
And see, that actually brings up a good point. Our politicians and our senators, if they're not good at one thing, or if they're good at one thing, it's completely and totally manipulating situations. Now, the
absolutely.
question is going to be, how can they manipulate it over here and use this as another way to gag and muzzle people like us who are doing our channels? And we've been gaining traction. So the question becomes, on our end, will the media try to figure out a way to use this?
Here's the thing. I do totally agree with that comment or that idea because, excuse me, I'm not so much worried about Article 11, which I believe is the one about copyrights and stuff like that. But we already have that on YouTube for us in America, and we gotta watch it. You'll get dinged. It happened to me and Sean on a live stream we were doing during the holidays, and after it was all said and done, they went ahead and let it go on anyways, and the whole thing is now on Sean's YouTube channel. And it's there completely. Even where I had several people who were watching and said, "Hey, man, yeah, it just went off, and I don't know what happened." It was because we got dinged for copyright, but when it went through its rendering, they passed it along and put it on his channel. So I'm not so much worried about the copyright thing. We have to deal with that today, even right now. But what I am worried about is Article 13, the upload charge and the click charge.
Yeah, because that is where it
a
gets
monetary
sticky.
thing, and with net neutrality now gone, which limited those types of things happening, now that does open up an Article 13 here in the United States, and I don't necessarily see any fight that can not make that pass. Washington, they're greedy bastards. And if they find a way that they can manipulate that money coming in and say not so much an upload charge in general, but you now have a tax on uploading that the government will take, they're going to do it.
And this is the thing that concerns me about the whole thing, because we're all struggling. We all got jobs that we do and stuff like
Yeah,
that in hopes to get to the level of these other YouTubers so we can chill. And then you get to that level, you put the work in, and it's like, to your point, it's like the government's going to swoop in and go, ha ha, now it's time
you
for
know,
us to take our cut. And how
and
is that fair? They didn't put in the work.
well, that's the thing, and I can tell you right now, the people out there that and what I don't, I'm not going to get into argument about whether or not people like the Homeland Security Act or whatnot. Homeland Security Act was a fraud from the beginning, and I understand why people wanted it. I understand why government passed it, but the thing is we gave up our right to not have police knock on our door and illegally enter and search our house. If they say it's a terroristic thing, it doesn't matter if you're a terrorist or not. They can come into your house now. All they have to do is hide under the guise that you have something to do with terrorists. That right
And that
there was ridiculous. But here's the thing: you're going to have people who are going to say, "Well, why don't you want article whatever?" Because all it's going to do is take a penny from you every time somebody clicks on it. Okay, fine. Me and you, we're probably okay. I might get a bill, or they might take it out of an account. Now that I'm on YouTube, I'm going to have to put a credit card in or put my banking account information, which of course that would be safe, right? Um, but here's the thing: let's go to some of the channels that we love, Geeks and Gamers. How many clicks a day do they get, and how many millions of dollars a year, or whatever, would it cost them, even if it was just a penny? This is
and
where I get on people about this. You blindly vote for a tax because it's only 3/8 of a percent. Well, okay, you make $20 a day or whatever. I make 200. It's taking money out of my pocket. I don't care what you think it's taken from me, because you may not notice the 38 cents or whatever that it takes from you, but the $50 it takes from me, I sure as hell notice. And that's
and
where we're going to
that's
get the problem.
and yeah, and that's the thing, is that also too, you'll have people who don't YouTube, who don't understand
Yeah,
how our things
yeah.
work, and they're gonna be like, oh well, it's this YouTube thing. They're always doing their thing, and it's like, you're not here. You don't know the time that we do this in between, doing two jobs and our family and things like that. I mean, it's still work within itself.
It's a
And now,
passion, but it's a passion that
exactly.
is only available to some of us because it doesn't cost us much, if
and
anything.
and it's down to the entertainment thing too, is that passionless people don't understand a passion for a platform.
Exactly.
So it's just like, I can never understand the feeling that Brie Larson gets from waking up on her high horse every day. I'm sorry, I had to throw that in, but
That's
I
fine.
can't get
I
I
won't come
can't.
to her defense. Like I said, I watched the movie, and a couple people said, "Well, why did that?" And I'm like, because it wasn't that memorable of a movie.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And that's kind of going off the on one end of this, but it's the thing. It's like, these people in America have to understand, just because I say, hey, it's okay, I'm not calling you by any names. I'm not getting into your business that much. Leave me alone. Let me say what I have to say. And if they do pass like an article, and again, I don't think an Article 11 would pass here. I just don't see it. But Article 13 is actually more damaging than Article 11, because they're taking money from these people who aren't normally heard in the world or in America. Your voice and my voice are the voices that in any other time without the internet would not have been heard, even if it's 40 people that listen to this stream, even if only 100 people watch it after the fact. It's still 100 people that have a chance to hear your side of it. And if they start putting things in it where every one of those 100 people cost you money, you may not be able to do it.
Exactly. That will force a lot of people who, essentially, you would have to have a separate fund, to even fund having a channel.
Mm-hmm.
And you lose the passionate people who like to speak, like you and me, who are just doing this, just because it's something we like to do. and we have a passion for it, and now we're being charged for it. And that to me blows my mind, because the Constitution and the founding fathers and everyone in the United States built the bill for freedom of speech. This is freedom of speech, and you are trying to silence that. And we fought people who've tried to do it in other countries. That's ironic.
Yeah, that goes down, and again, Mary even said it this way, that our Constitution being a breathing document, it's not a static thing. It can change, but it has to change with the time. So in our current state, the way it's set up is that we need to make sure that we can uh, 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 I guess, morph the Constitution so it can now say that freedom of speech also moves to any YouTube channel or any internet site that resides in the United States. If we were able to pass something like that, we would actually have much more ability to stop things.
And that's where this is a double-edged sword, because we have gained a lot of freedom to be able to put a lot of things out that would normally, if you said them out in public, would probably like, you'd be, you know what I mean? And so it works two ways, but it also works in a way that, it's a platform for us to talk. And now, without that being protected, it's the other end of the sword, where now they don't have a safeguard on here where they can start muzzling stuff, because there's nothing umbrellaing it. And that's where the whole internet thing in general falls in that very gray, murky area of what exactly is legal and what isn't.
Yeah, and those are things that, unfortunately, these things are hard to plan for. The internet was never intended to be what it became. I don't think the first people that dealt with the internet thought, hey, we're going to put this out here, and it's going to be this great place. People can go read the encyclopedia and read the dictionary on there. They're going to be able to read their newspaper on there. Nobody ever thought of YouTube originally. Nobody ever thought that YouTube would be anything more than maybe a place that you could actually go watch music videos first. It became a place where we have a say on. Have to really figure out, how do we protect this, and how do we do this now?
And this is why I wanted to have this discussion, is because I wanted to build these episodes around this factor, and I started this segment out of that necessity, where one day I got into a debate with a coworker, and we had a really good, friendly debate, and we fought pretty viciously. I mean, not out and out fight, but when you start to get loud and people are exchanging. But then we shook hands, and like, that was a good talk. And I said, you know what? I want to do something like that on the channel for this reason, because of these things, because of what entertainment is doing, our safe spaces, I feel, are getting smaller every day. It's shrinking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see it with the way that these celebrities are able to get away with these attacks, with the way the Star Wars fans were being attacked, even just out in public now. Even just out in public, if you talk to someone about something, there's so many things now you can't say in fear of having people jump down your throat. And it's frustrating. It's like, I remember every Thanksgiving, you would I heard stories about how my grandfather and my uncle, one was a liberal, one was a Republican. They'd have just the nastiest arguments, right? And you would think, oh, they are done with each other. That's it. And then it'd be like, all right, we'll see you next holiday. I mean, it used to be like that, And now it's like you debate with someone and they start calling you names. They start trying to sabotage you on your platforms. And it's become very vitriol. And
Yeah, and that's again, that's ridiculous. And there are families, and I listen to talk radio a lot, and there are families. You hear these calls where, well, I don't talk to my sister anymore because they are this or they believe in this. And it's like, are we really that petty, people? People's opinions matter, and it doesn't matter which side of the fence you fall on. It doesn't matter if you like the opinion, but they're allowed those opinions, and you to chastise them for that opinion is ridiculous. You need to come at it from an objective point where you can say, well, okay, I understand that, but this is how I feel about it, and this is why, and leave it at that. Okay, I don't agree with you, you don't agree with me, but we don't have to hate each other because of it. Now all you have to do is
put
go
on the
find
comments. PB just said to me, "Soy Cole is literally shaking." Yes, yes, he is.
They you just have to make sure that you understand that. I mean, again, I'm not a Trump supporter. Maybe I'll get chastised for that, but I don't disagree with the guy all the time. I give the guy
See,
credit where credit is due.
I very much am, but see, I am the type of person where I could respect that you don't, because the whole problem with that was real life, like venom, like people fighting about that election, like literally, and people crying and stuff. And when you see that, I remember the best thing watching was when he won. Every news station you turned it on, it looked like a collective funeral. Like someone in the
they didn't expect it. I even said when he got elected during his inauguration parade and all that, when he was going and walking up to go to his inaugural to be inaugurated, I said he looked like he didn't even expect to be there. I don't think he did. I think when he first went in, I think he was kind of like, okay, I won, now what? and he's had growing pains. He's not a politician, and I think that's why people voted him in. So there are some sides of him that I'm like, okay, no, I agree with him totally. Why are people jumping on him? And then there's times I'm like, okay, he's lost his mind. But then again, I thought of that about Obama. I thought about that about Bush. I thought about it, you think about that if you are objective with these people, they have their moments. Even if you are a person who voted for them, they always have their moments where you are going to look at them and go like, okay, I wouldn't have done that, but okay.
Oh, thank you, Mary. She said she's dropping a like.
And it's fine. Again, like so many people say, he's your president. Get over it. You can, if you don't like it, there's an election in one more year, I guess, even. And
yeah,
vote different, I guess.
That's probably going to be a debate for another time. But I keep politics away from the channel. But and here's the thing: I bring that up more to the point of tying this together is that we've lost the ability to just talk about things and get things out as human beings. And I might not like your opinion, you might not like mine at the end of the day, but I mean, we can't see each other, but hey, bro, Air 5, good going. We're here, you're here, but I still respect you as a human being. And that's what entertainment is lacking now.
Well, you see, the way I got brought into this community, I think I was, in lack of a better word, trolling Sean. And he was saying something about The Last Jedi, something about Rian Johnson. I said, oh, you're just this and that. And I was joshing him about it. And then Mary Mayhem, she got on that chat or in the comments, and her and I got into a brief discussion of The Last Jedi on that. But after it was all said and done, she thanked me for being civil about it. And I was like, okay. I was like, I don't see how you can't be civil while doing this. And that was my whole thing. It's like, why can't we discuss this? Okay, her opinion and my opinion differ, but I'm not going to tell her she's racist. I'm not going to tell her this. I'm not going to tell her that. I'm just going to say my point. And I knew by the end of it, like with most people who didn't like The Last Jedi, it doesn't matter what my opinion is because they let me have my opinion and I let them have theirs.
And that's the whole thing. That's why I started this, and I'm glad that at the end of the day, it's all about it's all about the opinions. And I kind of want to go into my third and rounding my final topic of discussion is how do you feel that this has changed entertainment from when we were kids to like now? Like the feeling you first got, like for instance, I got when I went to see Aliens 3 or Alien 3 in the movies to what it is now. Oh, okay. So we've had some technical difficulties, so I'm just going to continue on here. You had me nervous.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm driving and it changed over. I'm so sorry. Okay, so please say your point again.
And I always tell people, this is what you get on my channel.
What happened? Hey, we switch back and forth and all that.
No,
okay.
To my point, when we were younger to now, how do you feel that things are different? Like, a day in the life of sort of going to the theater when you were younger and the feeling you get, and like now, how do you feel about it? The way
Thank you for making me sound like Grandpa Moses, because that's what I'm going to come across as. I take movies seriously, and I know everybody else does in this community. I'm not saying they don't, but I take it so serious as I unplug. I'll watch these trailers that come out, but as soon as I see, hey, such and such believes, or the theory is this is going to happen in a movie, nope, not looking at it, not going to do it. I walked in to The Force Awakens, and you'll laugh about this because you probably haven't heard this story. I cosplay as Han Solo, who is my absolute top dog, number one Star Wars character of all time. I love Han Solo. I'm a big Harrison Ford fan. If I was a homosexual, I would probably stalk the man. But here's the thing. I walked in to that theater on the opening night here in Kansas City dressed as Han Solo. After that movie, how do you think I felt when everybody else said, you didn't know he was going to die? Nope, sure didn't. How did you know? Oh, I read it here and here and here. And I'm like, well, there's your problem. I'm like, I felt like I would have felt back when I was a kid walking into a movie, and they tell me now, and I use this reference so much because of how earth-shattering it was to the fan base when Darth Vader told Luke, I'm your father. It's like, okay, wow, let me process this. I don't want to read that. I don't want to read that.
I brought this up
in the internet
of Dumbo. Dumbo, I love Dumbo, by the way. Dumbo gave me a great feeling when I walked out because for the first time, and I love Tim Burton as a director. Now, sometimes he's a hit or miss, but this one, he's a definite hit because it was...
Okay, see, I wouldn't want to go see that movie just because I don't like rehashes, but if it's worth the see, I'm more than likely to go.
Yeah, it definitely is not the original whatsoever. Like, he completely changed the story and just he used the four, but he changed the story. But okay, so when I came out, I felt that experience for the first time in a while of the magical feeling that I was transported somewhere, which is why I praised it so highly. And I feel like that's what you're missing now. You go in and you see cell phones going and these kids and they're on their phone for 2 hours. And it's like, why did you pay $10.50 for a ticket?
Yeah, I mean, I still go to see a movie, and I don't care. People will tell me, "Oh, that's a horror movie. Don't go see it." If I had gone off of what a lot of people were saying about Captain Marvel because of who I hear it from, I probably wouldn't have gone to see it. But I subjected myself to it, and did I think it was a horrible movie? No. But was it a great Marvel movie? By no means was it. No. And I told people in our review, I said, if you don't want to go see it, don't go see it, because you're not going to lose out in the whole storyline. It doesn't have enough in it to change what's going to happen between Infinity War and Endgame. It absolutely just is straight up an origin movie, and it doesn't matter. But I still went to go see it. I'm still going to go see, Hellboy, even though it's a rehash. Tim Burton's doing Dumbo, and I kind of want to see it because Tim Burton does it, and Tim Burton always has a good way of putting a spin on things. One of those occasions was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. As many people who hated it, Willy Wonka, I can't remember what his version was. It's so hard when there's two of them. But
I was one of those people. It was, I felt Johnny Depp was the big thing for me. He was very scary.
Well, yes, but have you ever read the book?
Yes.
Okay, it's more like the book than the original one, but everybody loves.
And I didn't like
the
rap. That annoyed me.
Oh yeah, I wasn't much for the Oompa Loompa people in that. No, but the storyline was very much more along the lines of the book. And even the way that the Oompa Loompas did things were more along the lines of the book. Because the book, they weren't singing per se. They were just kind of almost rapping, just more limericks and stuff. But our job as viewers, and especially people like you and I and Mary Thomas, there's lots of us who review movies. Our job is to go into it as objectively as possible and watch the movie. I want to put on my channel
too. They said that to me too. Not to cut you off, because you bringing up the objective thing, because I got a lot of people, because I was very vocal about how I felt at Brie Larson, and man, you didn't have to stare at a poster 8 hours a day of that pale wooden face.
That's true.
For 8 hours.
That's true.
Leading up to that movie, so I was like, it's going to be another 2 hours, just like being back at work. But I did what you said, because as you were putting it, you, Mary Thomas, unlike the critics seem to be doing, is that we have to take ourselves out of it, take our biases out of it, as many of we have. And I really deconstructed it as a film. And for me, I found it poor. Because, and like I said, we fell on the same rating. I gave it a 3 as well. But I found it structurally bad. There were actually moments when Brie was an actual actress. And there was moments that she wasn't. And I said in my interview, as much as it pains me, I don't necessarily fault Brie. I fault the writing, because I went in with an objective mind. And I'm like, well, a lot of the tonal shifts, the thing with the scrolls and all that, a lot of that, you can trace it back to just poor writing, as opposed to the actor or actresses.
Yeah, and you can get the best actress or actor in the world, and if the writing sucks, it's just going to suck. And going to what you said about nowadays, it seems like critics just want to praise movies like Captain Marvel. And I don't know. I haven't seen the critics' ratings of it. I think I heard it was like 80-90%. So that means, a large portion of them like it. I don't know if they've raved about it or not, but I remember the day when Siskel and Ebert would do their reviews, and one or the other occasionally would go like, I went into this movie and I really wanted to like it, and I came out of it and I absolutely hated it. What's ever wrong with saying that? It's like saying, I expected more out of this movie, and when I went, it didn't give me that. It left me feeling flat.
And it's the language is what it is. It's the language of how these things are put out, is that the sophistication is not there in the wording. Like, this person attacked me, and that's where this whole thing started with my troll. But I clearly specified in my language, hey, I'm not attacking the actress. It's like here, and here in the movie itself is where I feel it falls flat for me.
Real quickly, I just want to let you know something. Congratulations on your troll. Congratulations. Some of us are not as lucky as to have a troll. Some of us would love it because it just makes for a fun night.
I
No,
gotta say though, I'm a little disappointed because I expected commitment, and then they like erased their profile and got rid of their comment. And if you're gonna be a troll,
they're an SJW. They're social jerk wafflers. I call them social jerk wafflers because they can't stay on point. They don't stay true to what they say. As soon as you point out what's wrong about their comment, they'll flip over and try to go at it a different way. Oh, well, I didn't mean like that. I meant it like this. No, you're saying the same thing. You're an idiot. That's all it comes down to. It's to be expected. It takes a real strong SJW to stick it out. Eventually, most of them just lay over and die.
Yeah, and that's the thing right there is that how I feel that entertainment has changed from when I was a kid was, and I'm dating myself here, maybe not as much as per se old man Chris, but I still got a few years in the game here, and I feel like I remember the Siskel and Ebert. I used to base a lot on what I was going to see on that because it was so down the middle and so fair. And even if I had the one thumb up, one thumb down thing, then I would be like, oh well, I got to go and just see this for myself and see for myself. But that's what's missing for me. And I was talking about how I feel that the theater industry in general is going to die out because it's starting to lose that majestic feeling it used to have. I don't know about you, but the fondest memory.
People are just getting tired. Okay, here's the thing. Okay, so the group of people who are that attack us for not liking certain things, or the people like who don't like Last Jedi or don't like Captain Marvel, the people who attack them, and then vice versa, not necessarily us attacking them, but us defending our right. Well, this is online, and it's there for everybody to see. And the people who aren't as invested into it, the people who just want to go see a movie, don't want to get mixed up into it. So what do? I'll just wait till it comes out. I'll see it at home. I don't want to get into that. I don't want to wait in the line. I don't want to hear these people talk about this. I just want to be left alone. I don't want to be a part of that. Those people are the ones not coming to the movies anymore. And when they don't come to the movies anymore, that is going to make it die out.
And to your point, being in the theater and seeing it myself, I mean, there's just some days where it'll be a Friday or a Saturday, and I covered this in one of my videos where it'll literally be dead. And it used to be, even when I was a kid, man, you would hang out at the mall and be like, oh, what's open? The theater, let's go to the movies. And we all hang out there. Even if you didn't go inside, you were around the theater. It was the landmark. It was the place to go. I mean, along with the arcades, and we know where that went. So, I mean, it's scary to me because Hollywood doesn't realize, and I use the Greek mythology analogy, that you have Hollywood up at Mount Olympus, you have Zeus up here, and then we're down the mountain, man. And by the time they get to midway and to the distribution and to where it's going to the theater, if you have up top, turning people away, then it's going to affect the bottom.
Oh yeah. You brought up, the whole, a couple points I'd like to make. One, you brought up the point of how Siskel and Ebert, lots of times, occasionally they'd agree, but the fun thing about watching the show is lots of times they didn't. Lots of times, I remember times when one would look at the other, go like, "What are you, nuts? This movie's nothing like that." And it was always fun to see that. It was like, Hannity and Colmes, when they had their radio show, you had two different sides. You had liberal, you had the conservative, and I love those things because I have bits and pieces of both sides. So I love hearing these people go at it. It's funny, it's great, it's entertaining. But the thing is back when we were growing up, especially me, and even when you were, first dealing with movies, if a movie got bad ratings because people didn't like it, they walked out of the movie theater saying, "Oh my God, I'll never get that hour and a half, 2 hours back." That spread, word of mouth spread, and it spread, and that's how a movie was determined. If it was good, it was good. If it was bad, it was bad, and people didn't gloss over it just because they were trying to make it about make it something about a political ideology. For instance, Friends Live, or why don't we have more black actors, or this or that. It wasn't about that. It was about, I don't care if it had black actors or not. If it was a bad movie, it's a bad movie. I don't care if it has the #1 actor in the world. I don't care if it's Harrison Ford. There are movies I've said are horrible that he's been in. It
Oh yeah.
happens. Let it happen, because that's how it used to be. If you didn't like a movie, you didn't like the movie, and it spread. And then the movie died and went away. And if you wanted to spend $2 on the VHS, or $5 in Walmart on the DVD, or now like $7 for Blu-ray if it's cheap, that's what you did. They still make their money somehow or another. They're always going to make their money. They're going to get money out of it. They're going to get as much out of it as they possibly can. Let it happen.
And that's what we're missing to today, is what you're saying, the natural progression of things. My coworker, who I talked to, who I was just with today, she loves Jurassic Park, and her favorite quote is "Life finds a way." And I find it funny because you can apply that to so many things. You can apply it. Life does find a way, and when movies are no different. Word of mouth was that natural evolution where you'd be at the house, and then the aunts and the uncles and everyone come over and be like, "Hey, we were thinking about going seeing that," and you're like, "Nah,
yeah, don't do that.
I wasted my time."
Yeah.
And it's like that's what Hollywood is trying to remove, is the natural progression of these things. And that's what I feel is, and I'm sure we can both agree on that, is different from when we were kids, is that the progression is dead. It's, or being manipulated or twisted or turned into something nasty.
One of my favorite movies of all time is Radio Days. And it's like what radio was in that. You went, like for instance, they would do these live radio shows on stage, and you go to a theater or a musical to watch it live, or you'd go to the movies to get your news, your cartoons. You'd spend a day at the movie theater because it's where you watch information before TV.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, we used to go to the mall when I was a teenager, and you tramp around all the stores, you go to the food court, get food, you'd hang out with your 30 friends, and then you'd all go see a movie. Now, you get 20 of you that say, "Hey, I want to go see this movie," and then the other 10 are like, "Oh, we're not going to go see that, we're going to go see this." So you might break up a little bit, but you went. And yeah, that's gone. I mean, you don't, the movie theater just isn't what it was. It used to be a part of an experience, the mall or something like that. And while you sometimes see that, it's not as much. And it is amazing, when you can look on, for instance, I looked today at pre-sales for Avengers Game, and there were still tickets available. I could still get tickets to a special event that they're doing before they're releasing it for people who are on the A-list here in Kansas City. And I'm like, they're talking about this breaking box office records for sale tickets, but I can still get tickets. How is this possible?
And that's the thing that annoys me, and why I brought this up as a topic of discussion, is that it's all of these companies, the actors, everyone coming out, and they're not addressing real issues. They're busy with their activism, but what about what you're being paid for? And entertainment in itself is changing. Look at Hollywood got into such a tiff when Bird Box came out. But why did they get into a tiff? Because more people viewed that movie in like a week than they did go and see an actual movie. So just think, all those people stayed at home on their couch, and they watched a Netflix original over a big budgeted, probably $1 billion movie with the way every movie heads over that. And you know, I don't agree necessarily with the whole Netflix trend, but it's numbers.
I don't
The numbers
necessarily agree
don't
with it
lie,
either.
and they have the numbers.
But again, Netflix started making its own movies because they probably got a lot of feedback from people that says, I don't want to go to a theater where I'm going to stand to people arguing over what the movie's about. I want to just go see a movie. I don't care if it's about stupid people who put blindfolds over their eyes and walk through woods blindly because they can't have their eyes open. I just want to watch something and not be bothered by people. And unfortunately, that's, oh God, you know, that's the thing about the current trend, even with the internet. I love the internet, but it's encouraging us not to be with other people. And like you said earlier, there was a time when you'd go to Thanksgiving and you knew Uncle Billy and Uncle John were going to get into it, agree about the president, or one was going to say, well, did you see what this guy's doing in Washington? He's such an idiot, this and that, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know, it's important to understand that he's doing it for good intentions. And they argue for 3 hours. The kids would sit there and drink more wine to drown it out, and the kids would go play on the Atari, or play video, or play outside, or play board games because they didn't care. But after everything was done, everybody shake hands, everybody would hug, and there you were a year later doing the same thing, or maybe during Easter, same thing. But you knew who it was going to be. You knew the people who were going to be involved in it, but you also knew they weren't going to get so far involved that they were going to hate each other. And we've gone away from that. Everything today is about splitting us up. It's about, don't talk to these people because they don't have your opinion. Do not listen to this person. Your sister says that she voted for Trump. She's evil. She's crazy. Don't talk to her. Don't invite her over to see your kids. She needs to be banished. That's how this world is becoming.
Yeah,
which is amazing, because that should tell people right there that this community we're in, except for liking The Last Jedi, it's a crazy thought. We have different opinions. How the hell is this possible? It's possible because we both understand something. There are reasons that people have different opinions, and that's what makes us people, good people. Is just because I don't have the same opinion as you doesn't mean I don't like you, because sometimes I need to hear the other opinion. You know why? Because it keeps me level-headed. It doesn't fly off the handle one direction. It's a pendulum thing. That pendulum for me stays in the middle because I let people with another view in. I listen. So my pendulum isn't always way over to the right or way over to the left. It stays in a very controlled manner right around the middle. So my life isn't crazy. People who go and fly off the handle and banish people out of their family, their blood, those people, what in the world are they thinking? They're letting people into their mind who is tainting their ability to think straight. The world doesn't go down a center line. It is not always black and white. You have to have some gray in there, and that gray is accept people with other opinions. And this culture doesn't allow that.
And that is exactly why we're having this discussion tonight about the entertainment, about Article 13 and stuff like that, because my overall theme for this talk, my overall take for everyone here is, and you know, everyone sub to me. They like me because I had 2 people unsub to me, so I was like, good. You know what? When I see subs drop, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say, and you're on my channel. You know, you can like my opinion, or you send me a comment, tell me you don't like it. But that's to the point of how people can be about these things, is that they want you to just they're used to blindly accepting, so they want you to just blindly accept the view, and God forbid you say, you know what, I don't feel your opinion, I don't understand where you're coming from, and because this and this. And that's the problem I find with the younger generation, and where entertainment is going, is that they've gotten rid of the acceptance, and now Hollywood is perpetuating that it's okay to not be accepting of other people's views. It's saying to the kids, and I'm big on this because I instruct kids and I see this all the time. It's saying to the kids, it's okay for you to attack someone, for you to call them names, to be mean because they don't like what you're saying. They don't accept your opinion. So you know what? Don't talk to them. Go and spew hatred at them. Go in and call them names. Go in on your internet and go and make pictures and say terrible things to them and get kids to kill themselves, because that's okay. That's all right. Because Hollywood and entertainment told you it's okay. And that's why I wanted to do it. Because it's not okay. It's not. It's a dangerous precedent.
You know, I personally think, I want to thank everybody who subs to my channel. Anybody who subs to my channel. I don't care if you agree with me or not. I tell people, and it says it right in my intro, I'm not afraid of offending people. If I offend you, fine. But don't unsub me just because you're offended. Howard Stern, the movie that they did, I can't remember what it was. There was the line in there that, and there was the line in that about, hey, we're getting all this hate mail. And then the person says, yeah, but wait, he has the best ratings because there's half of these people that want to listen to him. The other half hates him, but they want to hear what he says next. That thing is what this world needs. Just because you don't agree doesn't mean you should turn me off. You should, if anything, my disagreement with the person shouldn't make them want to hate me. It should make them even more passionate about what they believe.
And it should make them, and here's the thing with the SJWs is, and we've used this, every one of us, a lot, with talking points. And there's a difference, and I highlighted this in an argument I got into someone. There's a difference between talking points because they're literally scripted. They're the little bullet points if you study English, where you go, okay, I say this, and this, but they have nothing. And what's missing is the key factor, the X factor, logic and reasoning, and going, okay, this is my talking point, but this is my reason with facts, with proof, with something you can hold on to and be like, okay, yeah, I did remember seeing.
Yeah, but Lee, because you use logic against them, you're a racist, you're a bigot, you are a homophobic person. That's the thing. That's their attack on you. It's because they don't have anything to break down your logic. They are only going to, and again, it's amazing how many YouTube channels are getting flagged for hate speech when if you were to watch, like, they're not hate speeching. The people who are flagging them are hate speeching them. Why aren't we fighting these other people who are just blindly flagging channels that have a different opinion? That's where I say it's a very fine line, like you said, is that you can say we get rid of the flagging system altogether, or we monitor the flagging system. And within that, again, like you said, we have to have a monitor for the monitor for the monitor for the monitor and make sure we have enough opinions there that it all washes out eventually. And again, YouTube's in California near Google, and the chances of getting an unbiased opinion out there is next to nil. So, but these people don't want to use logic. They're only saying things because they know it strikes a chord. But the problem is, the only person really getting worked up 90% of the time, most of us keep our cool. And what happens is they continue and they continue and they continue. And then all they can do is flag you because you're wrong, because you don't agree with them. And that's their logic. I'll just fight this guy and I'll just keep saying this stuff until I'm done with him, and then I'm going to flag him because he's bad. He's just bad. Bad.
And the dangerous thing, which circles around to this whole conversation, to this whole point of our talk tonight, the thing is, what makes it dangerous what makes it truly dangerous now is when you have, like you said with Brie Larson, the base to make the attack stick. That is my concern. And that is why I wanted to have this video and this discussion and people to watch this and even weigh in themselves. So plug to all of the audience, whether you're in the chat now or whether you're going to watch this later. Leave comments on your own thoughts, because here at Cole Nation, we care. That's going to be my new fan base, by the way. Cole Nation t-shirts coming soon. No, but sorry. You know, I had to do my shameless alpha male thing. I apologize.
Oh, you're fine. You're absolutely fine.
But it's going to, it's when the dangerous part to me, and why I thought, and thank you for inspiring me for the topic tonight. The thing, when I really started thinking about what we talked about and what we went over and how cool we were both about it. And, you know, we brought up contrasting arguments here tonight and in our own private discussion, is that we can debate. I could debate with anyone on this channel. I could debate with anyone in our community, and we can have a debate. But the problem is Hollywood needs to stay out of it, because when they debate, they don't debate, they attack. And they use weight, and they use tactics, scare tactics, and people manipulating their minds and their hearts. And they start taking not hundreds, but millions and billions of people that follow them. And they bring them in like their little army, their little trolls that they like to use, because that's what we all are. They bring their little trolls from underneath the bridge, and they start attacking us little people. It's like, do we scare you that much? Is it really that bad that we have 120, 500, 128? I was reading my different subs list. But, is it really that threatening that this small entity has a voice? I mean, is it really that scary that you have to take your giant voice, your Tyrannosaurus Rex like power, and stomp us out? Why? And I mean, if it bugs you, why are you even bothering with it? You know, why just not take it out?
It's because, and the funny thing is this goes with everything I say about SJWs. The whole time that they're talking about, equality and talking about, all their points, all they're doing is driving you in different directions. The whole time that they are talking these small channels down, or attacking the small channels, the small Twitter follower group, they're actually giving us more of a magnification on our voice. And if we continue to follow that way and we don't let them break us down, we're going to be okay. We're actually going to end up getting more people who will, again, the more people who are tired of those people who read the article that says that they sent millions of people to basically fight their fight against a 300 and some odd sub channel, or a 300 and some odd follower Twitter account. People are going to band together and say, wait a minute, why are you concerned about their voice? What are they saying that you're so worried about? And they'll start listening. And that's why it's important that all our smaller channels, all our smaller, Twitter people that have small followings right now, stay the course and continue to talk about what we talk about. Because the longer we continue to do it, more people are going to listen. And that's our only hope. That's the hope, is to continue.
And that's why that was actually the birth of this, was a combination of being on live streams with you guys, and a combination of seeing these articles, and a combination of having my own troll. I'm sorry to make you jealous. I really hope you do get one, because you need one. I think that would be funny to watch that whole thing unfold.
Oh, I would love that. Absolutely, I would love that.
But I think that, or Obi-Wan Reviews posted, or against 92 million sub channel, how crazy is that anti-Pootie petition? Exactly, Obi-Wan. How crazy is that this guy, and you know what? I like some of his stuff. I don't like some of his stuff. He's kind of hard to understand, okay? And someone's gonna go, "Oh, he's racist." I honestly, the guy's really tough to understand at times. But to that point, I don't agree with that. It's like a petition. Do you guys even know the meaning of what a petition is for? Do you guys know? Do
No,
you
they don't.
guys
They don't.
have? I saw I'm finally in the chat.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Do you guys know what the point of a petition originally started? A petition was to the petitions were made to petition things of relevant social structures, like for instance, like with slavery and things like that. That turned into a bill, but it was based off petitions of the day. That was what it was for. And a petition against someone who's speaking their voice, I support PewDiePie's perspective because that's unconstitutional. That's now breaking into freedom of speech. He's not saying anything grossly offensive. I've seen his videos. He's just funny, and he's snapping back at people snapping at him. That's not being derogatory or anything. That's like, hey, I'm being attacked. I'm going to defend myself. What do these people expect? This guy is just going to lay down and let him, just
that. That's what they want.
Just let them attack him. No,
that's what they want.
I wouldn't let anyone attack me either.
That's what they want. No, they don't understand what a petition's used for. Too many times these days, things like that. They use it and abuse it, and they don't think about what they're really trying to do. If these people actually turned their attention and put the time and the effort they do in towards something decent, something good, something worthwhile, maybe exactly what they're preaching about equality and stuff, if they actually turned it around and actually tried to do that and focused truly on what it meant to do what they're talking about, the world would be a great place. But their focus is hatred. Their focus is.
It was like I was watching this game review for I believe it was not Fallout. Hold on, I'm going through my memory banks here. It was Far Cry. The new Far Cry had some things about the liberals, actually, and this one character called them libtards, and you had these guys from GameStop, and I'm watching it because people had turned me on to it, and you had these snowflakes from GameStop going, well, the gameplay was good, but I don't get why he had to say that. And it's like, dude, I'm not watching your channel to hear you break down this guy's conversation. He's an NPC.
It's a character. Yeah. That's crazy.
It's a character in a game. I want to know about the gameplay. I don't want to know that he attacked a. That's what video games do. They have
grow thick skin.
They have content to intrigue the viewer. You play a game because you go, oh, that was edgy. You know what I mean? You don't play it because you go, well, did they have enough representation? I felt like the female community wasn't represented enough. Come on. The best thing
I played Grand Theft Auto, but I thought there was too much murdering and bloodshed in it.
Oh yeah, and those picking up those hookers, man. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, I play. Honest to God, the reason why I play a game like that is because it is so deplorable. I can be deplorable in that game, and it's not life. Because that's not who I am. I don't kill people indiscriminately, but on that, trust me, this world gives me enough stress. That's the game I go to when I want to just blow people up.
Exactly.
It's a great stress relief.
And I brought this up before, but I wanted to bring it up like live on this talk stream. There was a great article where ID Games, which is now one of my favorite companies, and I adore everyone that works there. they came under attack, of course, by SJWs because they have a whole storyline based on the Doom aliens, because they got Doom Eternal coming out, and they have a storyline where the Doom aliens are using messaging through media to control people. And the SJW,
Really?
Yep.
People use media to control people?
Oh, yeah, it's a thing. And the SJWs, they got into a tiff about it. They were upset, so they go, "Oh, okay, we're going to talk to ID." And so they get their little mob together, their little gang, and they go to the creators. They say, "We don't like this, and you've got to change your game." So the dude releases a press statement, and you can read it. I believe it's on ID. Was so proud of it, they put it on their website, and they said, yeah, we would like to release a statement about our insensitivity. And I go, "Oh no, ID, don't pander to them." And they go, "About our insensitivity to this group of people. But my honest opinion is, if you don't like what we have to say in our game, then you don't have to play it." I was like,
perfect. But Lee, I'm really disturbed. You're telling me that the media tells us this stuff. My news outlet tells me that you're wrong. So they tell me you're crazy. I mean, you might be crazy, but they tell me you're crazy in your views. So I don't know. I don't know, man. I just don't believe my news organization does not lead me wrong.
Oh no, it would never tell you.
No.
It would never tell you that, Captain Marvel is the greatest movie ever conceived, and there's never been another strong female character like Ellen Ripley or Sarah Connor. No, Wonder Woman. We've never had those. That doesn't exist.
Never. No, never.
We're
There's
rewriting
never a Charlie's Angel.
You can go on and on and on.
It's just ridiculous, this world, and like I said, the voice that we have it's an important voice. I won't necessarily say we are the voice of reason. I agree that we are, but again, our voice is important because it is a differing view. They don't want us to have it because they don't want differing opinions. We all have to be on their side. If we're not on their side, then go screw yourself, is what they think.
We're trolls. We're fanboys. We live in our parents' basements. We don't have a life except for sitting on here. It's not like I got 2 jobs. No, none of that counts. Because we decided that we wanted to get on and say, "Hey, you know what? I wasted my money on your product, and I'm not happy. And I just felt you should know. And hey, if other people felt the same way, let me know, because maybe I'm crazy. Maybe someone's got a different opinion." No, they don't want that guy. They want the guy who's going to go, "Hey, come in this flaming car and let's drive off this bridge together."
Absolutely. That's ridiculous.
Obi-Wan reviews, to be fair, people act differently to the "if you don't like it, don't play it, watch it" argument on a case-by-case basis. We don't like Lucasfilm saying that about Star Wars. And yeah, that's a very true point. But
I was going to go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was going to say earlier, we used to live in a world where if the people you bought your bread from came out and said, perfect example, New Coke. When New Coke came out, they threw it out there. And people were absolutely livid with New Coke. So what did Coke do? Well, of course, Coke chastised the people and threw their SJWs after them and said, "We're not going to change anything. If you don't like it, don't buy it." Wait, no, never mind. I'm sorry. I'm wrong. Coke changed back to the original formula because their consumers told them to. We're losing that. Exactly. Consumers had the power to tell people, "We make your money, not you. If what you do we don't like, you're in trouble. And somewhere we got off on this road where somebody stood up and said, go screw yourself. You don't like it, don't watch it.
Yeah, and you know that is and that's true, and that's true to Obi-Wan's point with the case by case basis. That's what it used to be, by case basis. Now with Lucas doing what they did, that was an umbrella, and that wasn't them wanting to change. That was saying, well, we're just going to keep on doing this, and we don't care what you have to say. But then it's like someone making an inferior product.
I think the difference here is like he's making the point that the game makers said this to people who didn't like the way the game was done. Well, the thing here is if they don't play the game, it doesn't affect them, and I think that's what they were saying. You don't like it, don't play it. The difference is Lucasfilm was telling Star Wars fans, you don't like it, get over yourselves, and you don't have to watch it. Wait a minute. You're telling Star Wars fans, people like me that have been a part of that franchise since it started, you're telling me to get over myself? And I don't. Yeah, but you're telling people like me and people like you and everybody else who's a Star Wars fan, and yes, I don't group myself in this because it didn't come across to me that way, but the people they did tell it to, you're telling Star Wars fans, you don't like it, don't watch it. What? You're telling your fan base, your absolute 100% fan base, you're telling them that? You're crazy. Absolutely crazy.
That's nuts. So I've been going. I've actually gone past the hour. I was only planning for the hour mark, but we're running into 2 here, and I've got to go pick up and possibly angry person if I don't make it on time here. But
okay, well,
she is a strong, empowered female woman. She can beat me, and my white toxicity. So,
well, you know,
I wanted to wrap up with something. The whole point of this conversation and the whole point of this discussion and me having you on tonight was that I wanted to facilitate talks, and that's what I'm going to do, just to let everyone know who's here and everyone who will watch this. That's what I'm going to do every Wednesday at 7, is that I want to facilitate talks, because like we've gone over here tonight, that we're losing the ability to have a space for all of us to gather and have our ideas and be heard and debated safely amongst a community of fans. It used to be like the friendly debates of whether or not you like the prequel or the original. But as lively as those debates were, and I'm a prequel defender, I saw Revenge of the Sith 3 times, but I mean, as lively as those debates were, Star Wars fans were never divided. We just were on opposite sides, but we still came together, and we still embraced those characters as part of our franchise. Whereas here, Hollywood is trying to manipulate and destroy the base, break the franchises, and snuff down our voice. And I want this place to be a safe place where if we can't talk really public, then we have this corner to talk about these things and have these discussions, and know that you won't be attacked or chastised just because your opinion is different than mine, or just because my opinion's different than yours. We'll still shake hands, and I'll have you back on again, because that's what I want this to be. I want this to be a debate. I want this to be a discussion. I want this to be a gathering of minds and opinions. And I want you, the fans, everyone in the chat, everyone who will watch this, I want you guys to leave your comments below about certain things you heard tonight. What things did you want to put your own comment in on, and how are you feeling about things? Because that's what we need in this community. And at the end of the day, this community is important to me. I know it's important to you. So that's what I want this takeaway to be. And, you know, with that, Chris, let me get your final thoughts for the evening.
Well, we don't differ in opinion on this. That's for sure. But I think we have differing ways of looking at certain things of this. But I totally agree with you. Whatever anybody has to say, the important thing is to walk away and understand. If you don't see eye to eye, respect the other person for at least being able to tell you they don't have the same opinion. We are losing the ability to talk civilly with somebody who doesn't see eye to eye with us. They're a person, you're a person. Respect them, they're going to respect you, and that's how it should be. I can walk away knowing that you, Lee, don't like The Last Jedi, but you should walk away and at least respect my opinion that I like it. You're not going to call me a name for it. I'm not going to call you a name. And that's how respectful people handle it. It's the Siskel and Ebert thing. They didn't hate each other. They just disagreed. And they got passionate.
And they would argue and heated, and you'd be like, oh, wow. And then at the end, they'd be like, they'd shake hands and they'd be back for the next movie. Yeah. They'd be back for the next review.
But that comes down to, like I said, it's a sheep mentality. The more people you have in a flock that are following a shepherd who tells them, I have your answer, that's what becomes dangerous. Somebody eventually somewhere, where I can't tell you because I can't pinpoint the exact start of this, but where it started
for me,
what was that?
The Me Too movement is where it started.
I think it started before that. I think it just started with little groups of flocks, 2 or 3 people following this one person. And after a while, it grew because this flock ran into that flock, and these 2 people said, hey, we kind of have the same opinion. Let's talk louder together, and we'll get more people following us. And eventually, that movement came from Hollywood. And like the movies, don't listen to the actors. They are allowed their opinions, but don't just listen to them blindly. Read, research, and know what you're supporting. That's the main thing here. And educate yourself.
To that point, yeah, you gotta Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers says it best. You gotta come at something with facts and proof and logic. Debate, if you're gonna debate and you're passionate, and you can tell the real passionate people because they come to you with a debate that has facts and reasoning behind it. Where, like I said, I can look at some of your point of views tonight and go, yeah, he was right, and this is why. This is what he's presenting to me, and on some level, it makes sense. So at the end of the day, maybe, like you said about the pendulum, my pendulum swings back to center because I got another point of view, and that's what talking and debating was always meant to be. That's what it always should be, is different points of views, different people coming together and talking. And that's why that was the symbolic reason of me calling this show Let's Talk, because we're talking, we're discussing, we're pooling our ideas, we're taking stuff from you, the fans, and we're listening to your opinions, and we're discussing it so that at the end of the day, maybe you take something from me, maybe you take something from Chris, and then we take some of your ideas, and together we all maybe not agree at the end of the day, but we have a new perspective, and we can open our minds a little bit to seeing things differently. Sorry, Chris, I'll never open my mind to watching Last Jedi ever again, but
that's your opinion.
But at least I have a new perspective, and I have someone like, hey, he's a cool guy. Maybe one day on a rainy day, if I'm bored and sick and it's the only thing available.
You're dying on your deathbed. I got you.
I'm dying. And the nurse puts on Last Jedi. I'll watch it again.
No, but I deserve that.
But no, at the end of the day, we all take different opinions. So, my closing thing is going to be to you, the fans. My closing piece of knowledge, the wisdom, if you will, is going to be to you guys. Take care of each other, love each other, and if you get into a debate, and you say things, just remember it's not what's said at the time, and it's not what you may have heatedly discussed. It's whether or not that you really like the person and you accept them, and you can accept even the bad part, even that part you don't like, even the part you disagree with. Not necessarily bad, but just the part you don't agree with. Are they a good person? Are they good in the whole? Is this a person you want in your community, you want to hang around with, you want to get to know? That's what you should be judging them on, and not a film, not a show, not something that's subjective. Okay, the big things, are they good at their core? That's what, as people, we should be focusing on, and that's what I hope to leave all of you guys here with tonight. So, Chris, quickly before I unplug us for the night, do you want to plug your channel? Let people know what you're about. I gave you a wrench, I think. So.
Yeah. So I am Chris Knight. I'm with the Real Review 3000. Please go sub. I'm still looking for more subs. I'm going to be doing a 100 sub party here soon. Give away some stuff. Hopefully I can have 3 or 4 people watching that. And I have a couple people on the panel to talk about some stuff, and we'll have a subject to talk about. But we're going to be doing that soon. We got some videos coming out again soon. We got bigger things on the horizon, but we talk about gaming. We talk about, movies, TV shows, all sorts of crazy stuff. We do crazy things like what it means to be a geek video, and we got one coming up here in another couple weeks or so. That's going to be as Hollywood ran out of ideas, which again is another problem Hollywood has, but we're going to discuss that. We got a lot of good things. Please come sub. Please check our videos out. And Lee, I do want to thank you so very much for bringing me on, especially for this topic. I had a great time. This is a great show, and I plan on kind of stealing the model of it. I plan on doing something similar to this, but it's going to be a little funnier, hopefully, or not funnier, but I don't know. We're going to have to see what it's going to be like, because I haven't even fully imagined it yet.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Lee.
Like I said, I shoot off the hip, and Let's Talk just came to me because of my friend at work, and he said to me, it was good to have this talk. Let's talk again. And that's where I kind of took that from him. So you're more than welcome to steal it. Just don't air it on Wednesdays so that I can still have people come and see it. Leave me the time slot, man. Anyways, my name is the most groundbreaking, earth-shaking, never taking money from the media shills and making and breaking deals, Lee Cole the Fourth. This is my channel. Thank you, everybody who is in here. Down the pipeline, I've been messing around with some editing software, so I will have some trailers coming out for you guys. This has been my segment of Let's Talk. I'm going to be doing this every Wednesday at 7. I will have a different guest host. Hopefully, Chris, I would like to get you again back on to the show, because we're going to do a debate on Last Jedi one day. And that should be a lively discussion. And I got some trailer reactions coming. I've got my Into the Badlands reviews coming down the pipeline, and now that I got the software to do it, I will be able to show different little screenshots from things and give you guys some context. And as always, I have movie reviews for different movies coming down. I'm behind about 2 of them, but there will be a review posting right away for Shazam. Probably that night it'll be a car video, because people seem to like those. And I'm going to be doing one on Avengers Endgame, so you guys be on the lookout for that. And as always, I appreciate every sub we have. Congratulations to you, Chris, for your 100 subs. And if I could get on that panel, I'd love to, because that'd just be awesome. But anyways, it's been a real great pleasure. Thank you, everybody, for being on my channel. And, you know, as always, as my outro is me and my favorite character, the only character that saved Captain Marvel, and my plush doll is in the mail, Goose the Cat, are going to see you guys at the movies. Have a wonderful evening.